Hello, and welcome back to Friday 15. So for those who are new to the program, Friday 15 is exactly what it sounds like. It's 15 minutes on a Friday to talk about something new in technology. So if you're joining us on LinkedIn, a little caveat, I should be able to see comments you write on our live stream and it should come to me. So say something nice and I can look at it that way. All right, my guest today is Jamie Sanpietro. She is a specialist engineer at Miss Juniper Networks. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you.
Okay, so the clock is ticking. Let's get started. Our topic today is location services, but before we do that, I want to understand something about Juniper Networks. So the thing that intrigues me about Juniper is that you have this whole messaging around AI. You call yourselves AI native. And when I hear that, it seems to me that you have a different way of conceptualizing the relationship between networking and artificial intelligence. It's a different construct there. So if I could be very blunt here, what is this relationship you have that is different with Juniper Networks and Cisco Meraki and Aruba? Can you talk to us about that whole
Absolutely.
going AI native?
Yes. So when you think about just the kind of the evolution of technology in general, when you start off with, just people just manually doing tasks, then it went into automation. Now AI is that next level of automation where we have repetitive tasks. We have all of the data that's available to us to machine learn, right? So when we talk about AI native, right? So it's kind of, think about it like a self-driving car, right? There's different levels of autonomy when you think about the self-driving. It's the same thing with the network concept as to how we pull in AI. So we're starting off with tasks like auto radio resource management, where we're using labeled data and we're doing continuous learning models against our end user data to identify what is an optimized RF environment. Now we're moving more into an AI native situation where we're actually having the system learn its configurations, things of that nature, and being able to display a digital experience twin out there that helps us to understand user experience when we don't necessarily have live clients in the building, all without having to do any configuration on the back end to simulate this experience. So it's kind of just going into levels of how far can we take this while still maintaining efficacy, right?
Cool.
So that's the idea here.
So that means the actual APs, they're built differently. They're built to get, so how many data points? Can you talk to us?
Oh, yes.
Get a sense of scale. What's the data like in those APs?
Yes, and I'm glad you brought up the hardware, right? So it's not that our founders thought that the industry needed another access point out there, right? But at the end of the day, in order to have the AI-driven insights that we needed to have that data as the foundation. So in order to have that data, the AP is built to stream that data to us. So we have 150 plus client states for every single client that touches the network, whether they do successfully connect or whether they attempt to connect and they are unsuccessful. We have a full tracking of everything that goes on within the environment.
Cool. And I like to ask some curveball questions. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. So I mentioned Cisco Meraki just before. So is there a AI tax / cost premium to go Juniper and have all those fancy AI native network that you're describing when you compare to what's out there?
Sure. And, and kind of taking a step back on cloud, right? So when you look at our cloud architecture, every single piece of Mist was purpose-built with a clean sheet of paper for AI operations. So when you look at folks like Cisco Meraki, Aruba even, right? There's other players out there where they're trying to integrate in AI after the fact, right? So we are different in the way that it was purpose built from the very beginning. You'll see reports that we're 3 to 5 years ahead of the competition when it comes to AI because the founders wanted to take that step back. They actually came from Cisco Meraki and were founders of aerospace with the controller, right? And then now that we're shifting our mobility world, wanting to be able to now understand client experience, applications are business critical. How do we know that all of those things are running. So it's really expanded, and that's what's made that shift into how can I leverage AI and machine learning models to really ingest data at such a rate and such a scale. So when we look at our cloud architecture is a microservices cloud. So that also speaks to the scale of being able to pull those data events, being able to remain agile with our feature code updates. Because when we make changes and updates to our network, we're just touching one containerized piece of code rather than a stream of monolithic code from a virtualized controller that's been popped into the cloud. So that's what sets us apart as well.
Okay, so now we're using all that construct that you described and putting that into location services. And I particularly like how you said the client experience, because location services is all about client experience. So can you tell us a bit about how this AI-driven network drives location services? What does it look like? What is it?
Absolutely. So when you think about kind of typical location deployments, oftentimes you not only have to have an additional piece of hardware and overlay to augment the BLE coverage. In our case, as far as the hardware goes, we have a patented 16-element antenna array in our access points that allow for virtual Bluetooth capabilities. So that eliminates need for things like battery-operated beacons and overhead that happens there. All configurations are done straight from the MIST portal, and location services was, again, purpose-built from the very beginning. So when you think about calibration and how that's done historically, typically that's a manual effort. So through AI and machine learning that MIST offers, that calibration is done in a self-driving fashion. So we get that fingerprinting from our clients. We get those path loss formulas. We build out for each AP a model that helps us to understand very pinpointed location. And that's all driven by unsupervised learning models that we'd use with machine learning and AI.
Okay, let's pull up a video and show in action and tell us what we're looking at.
Sure. So what you're looking at here is this is actually the Cupertino office. So we eat our own dog food, right? This is a wayfinding option. So this is actually part of our MIST experience application that we have available. There are third parties out there that do offer wayfinding application integrations with our system. We are 100% API platform, so integrations are really easy with us. We partner with many other application vendors and alike to just bring in better value to customers as well as better overall user experience to customers. So if you notice there, we're watching somebody that's trying to get to a particular spot in the building.
Yeah, what I loved about this is the precision. You can see completely in tune, and then you can think about the possibilities there. And I like what you said about the competition, because you can say one thing, but Gartner Magic Quadrant can say another. We like Gartner Magic Quadrants. So let's pull it up right now. And we see here on that leaderboard, there's Juniper Networks for location services. Which is great. You're kind of tied there with Zebra Technologies. Can you talk about the difference?
Absolutely. When you look at Zebra Technologies, that's just a real vertical look, because they're only doing a location service. There's going to be a specific hardware, a separate pane of glass to look into, a separate dashboard, separate configuration, right? It's a separate kind of silo technology. Or if you look at Juniper Networks, right, we are not only a leader in the location services, but we are the leader in wired and wireless. So marrying those two together in a holistic view, as well as not having to have overlay with additional hardware, costs, overhead management, all of those things, that is what sets us apart from a vendor that is only maybe able to do one piece of that puzzle. We're fully holistically integrated into our wireless as well as our indoor location services.
Right. It's a whole Juniper universe.
Sure.
Yeah. So, okay. So AI, I know it's a bad pun, imagineering location services. So let's think about use cases. What can you do now that you see everything? What can you do with it?
This is what becomes really, really amazing, right? Knowing that we now have efficacy in this location, reliability on the fact that we can pinpoint location of clients down to 1 to 3 meters, right? This turns into things around emergency type use cases, right? We need to get folks out of the building in an emergency situation, knowing where people are if we need to go back and kind of do a count of making sure we've got everybody out of a building, right? We talk about retail spaces and user experience, right? We talk about maybe integrating with that loyalty application, so that way when that end user comes into the building, that customer for that retail store, they are welcomed, right? We have a proximity zone that we can say, once they hit this area, let's give them a welcome message, right? So through those virtual beacons, those messages can be pushed out to those customers and let them know that maybe their favorite item is on sale at a particular location in the store.
Yeah, I'm thinking also maybe healthcare settings. You go to a hospital, you're so confused. You know that feeling when you go in and you're supposed to follow find the grape elevator. Where's the grape elevator? I don't see it.
Absolutely. And so easy to get turned around in spaces like that, right? And you could be in an emergency situation where you're trying to get to somebody quickly, or you're just absolutely lost. And those are big buildings. So yes, just being able to offer a way for us to pinpoint location and get you to where you need to be indoors, right? That's been a challenge from, a Wi-Fi perspective. We can get pretty close, but when we tie BLE now into this whole entire mix, along with our AI models and our machine learning, that based off of that client feedback that we get on our RSSI values, understanding really where we're hearing these clients and really being able to pinpoint that location is critical.
Right. And it's not just about people, it's also about assets. So you can put it on things. So to think about, imagine you're that.
Yes.
What can you put on?
Yeah, so Juniper Mist offers two different subscriptions. So there is an engagement subscription around location. So that's more around this wayfinding that we're talking about and user experience, where we're engaging with clients. Then there's an asset tracking piece where we are just tracking assets, be it people, be it items, right? Making sure that things don't grow legs, or maybe we have shared resources within an environment. So for example, at the VA hospital, we have something that we call Uber for wheelchairs, right? So when a person comes into the facility, if they need a shared resource, we can pinpoint exactly where that is. We've tied in, again, through our open APIs, being able to tie in specifically to the elements that they're going to need on reporting back to that end user where that wheelchair is in the building, how long it's going to take to get to them. So they have a really good pulse on all of those things. So again, just being able to create a more solid customer or user experience on the other end that's actually accurate, efficient, and is going to give them what they need.
Yes, and you mentioned, so I'm thinking out of the box, you had a subscription, you mentioned BLE. Can you explain what that is exactly? So is that something, first of all, what does that stand for? Is it Bluetooth?
Bluetooth Low Energy.
Okay. And so what exactly do you need to have in your building in order to make this a reality? What's out the box, and what do you have to do?
So there are several of our access points that have the virtual Bluetooth antenna array in them. So the hardware is one piece of the puzzle, and then the Juniper Mist subscription to the Mist portal, whether it be engagement, asset tracking, or both. Those are the subscription base that it would be needed as well on top of the hardware.
And thank you, Bernice, for saying great presentation. We appreciate that. And I also just have to add here, Pittsburgh proudly claims Jamie Sanpietro. Okay.
Yeah, I am a Pittsburgh native.
Yeah. Okay. So on that positive note, I want to end off with some resources and recommendations. So where should we go to learn more?
Right. So we do have a link that Dean is presenting right now that brings you over to our location services offerings. There are several YouTube videos out there as well. Bob Friday, Sudhir Mata. If you haven't seen Sudhir Mata, if you need just a morning cup of coffee, he is fantastic to watch. Never a boring presentation. And Bob Friday just won an award at our Wireless LAN Professionals Conference. So just really, just a really intelligent person pioneering here in the wireless space. So there's some great stuff out there as well on those.
Okay, great. And I love this link because it actually walks you through the fundamentals behind it, everything you're explaining, and explains that, and then plus explains the end user experience. And I just want to drive home that point you mentioned, that Juniper Networks is AI in order to better the actual experience of the client. Because with everything you see as an IT director or someone on the back end, everything can look like it's working well, but is a person on the other side actually experiencing the wayfinding, actually experiencing the visibility, actually experiencing everything. And really that's like kind of the application of AI in this sense is for that purpose.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
It's no longer around managing network elements, right? It's around that end user experience. It drives business outcomes. Everything that we do is really now in a mobilized world. So it's super important that network is that heartbeat to making applications, a business critical features, right? Making all of that run.
Okay. So thank you very much, Jamie. That was a quick 15 minutes, and wish you all a good weekend. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.